So what we're going to do is we're going to add and subtract. Yesterday we reduced, and our quiz on Friday is going to be factoring and reduce, and tomorrow I'll make sure that we go over any questions you have, and there might be some of this on the quiz. So LCM, what does LCM mean? Lucas.
Lowest common, least common multiple.
Yep, least common multiple. It is very similar to least common denominator. In fact, they're both, it's just the least common denominator is what you find when you're trying to add fractions. So we're going to do example 1. And example 1 is 12a squared b, 15abc, and ab to the third, c to the fourth. Now, when you're finding least common multiple, I just want to practice a little bit with you and show you how to do it with using the prime factorization. And then when we go to add and subtract, we can do it like the one that we did on the board. Okay, 12. What are two numbers you can multiply to get 12? Okay. 3 is prime, so I'm going to circle it. And what are two numbers you can multiply to get 4? Okay, circle those. So I'm left with 2 times 2 times 3 times A times A times B. Okay. 15. What are two numbers you can multiply to get 15?
5 and 3.
Those are both prime. So it's going to be 3 times 5 times A times B times C. And then 8. What are two numbers you can multiply to get 8? And 4. And so we're going to have 2 times 2 times 2. B times B times B times 4. There we go. Those are 4 C's. Now, to find the LCM, this is different than finding the GCF. To find the LCM, you're looking for the highest of each one, okay? So, 2's. You're looking for 2. What is the highest number of 2's that you have? So that's going to be our first. So everything has to be included in that LCM. Okay, so 2 to the third. What's the highest amount of 3's we have? 1. So we're going to put 1 3. So that means everything has to have 1 3. Everything has to have 2 2's. Okay, and this is a little different than the least common denominator because, well, it is the same, and then you look at your answer and you pick out what's missing. Okay, we have a 5, right? We have another number. How many 5's do we have?
1.
So we're going to write 5. Okay, so it's not how many they have in common. You're looking for the most. So like I have 3 2's, so you have to write 3 2's. Okay, what about A's? What's the highest amount of A's we have?
2.
So A squared. And then B's?
3.
Because there's 3 B's here, so that's the highest amount. And then C's?
4.
So now we're going to find our least common multiple. So we're going to multiply all of this together. So it's 8 times 3 times 5, which is, bless you. It's not bless you, but 8 times 3 times 5 is 120. And then we put A squared, B to the third, C to the fourth. So that would be our, if we were adding, subtracting fractions, that would be our denominator. And then our job would be to say, okay, this is what I need, what am I missing, okay? So that's the least common multiple. Let's do another one. Okay, so here's number 2. 4a squared minus 12a minus 16, and then we have a to the third minus 9a squared plus 20a. So, you guys, Today someone asked me a question about factoring. So the first thing that you want to do is when you go to factor something, ask yourself, do they have anything in common? That's always the first question. So you guys, this is different than example 1 because these are trinomials and we're going to need to factor them. So when I look at this, the first thing I'm going to ask you is, do they have anything in common? What do they have in common?
4.
So we're going to pull out a 4. And you guys, when you do that, just do a quick check to make sure that you divided right. 4 times a squared is 4a squared. 4 times 3 is indeed 12. 4 times 4 is 16. Now, we're looking for two numbers because a is 1. See the number in front of a squared is 1? Now I'm looking for two numbers that when you multiply, you get negative 4. When you add them, you get negative 3. Go ahead. Negative 4 and 1. You guys remember I wanted to equal negative 4 and we multiplied to get negative 4 and when I add them I got negative 3. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. Okay, so we factored that. That's like a prime factorization. Now in this one, again, the first thing that you want to ask yourself is, do they have anything in common? What do they have in common? So we're going to pull out an a, and then I'm left with a squared minus 9a plus 20. Now, a is 1, the number in front of a squared is 1, so now I can ask myself, I'm looking for two numbers that when I multiply, I get positive 20. When I add them, I get negative 9. So what are two numbers you can multiply to get positive 20? 4, go ahead. 5 and 4, or negative 5 and negative 4. Which one adds to negative 9? Yep. Okay, so now we've factored them. Now we're going to look for our least common multiple. Remember, you guys, your least common multiple is like your least common denominator. This is what your denominator would be. Okay, so I'm looking at a 4. So we're looking on the outside of the parentheses right now. This has a 4. Does this have a 4? So we need a 4 on the outside. That's why. Okay, now I have an a on the outside, so I need an a. Okay, this has an a minus 4. This has an a minus 4, so we're good on that part. And then what does this have that this doesn't have? We need an a plus 1, and what else do we need? A minus 5. You guys, you don't need to include the a minus 4 because it's already there. This is the least common multiple that you would need, okay? So this is already there, so you don't need it. And that's your least common multiple. What questions do you have? Ethan?
Would it still count if we included the a minus 4?
Yes, I would probably take half points off because I don't want to say technically you don't need it because they both include it. So.